We now know that the safety rhetoric of these things are here to save us, they're going to be perfect, not that every company said that, but some of the companies certainly wanted to imply that. We now have some evidence that that's really not how this works. So the question is, well, what's really going on here, and how safe will they be, and where does the bar get set? So let's start with getting past some of the rhetoric. I'll start here and then we'll revisit this at the end. The reality is nobody knows when or even if, but mostly when, autonomous vehicles will be safer than human drivers. When there are claims of reduced fatality rates, those are purely aspirational. There are companies who have a reasonable basis for a prediction, a model saying, yeah, we're on track to be at least as safe as a human driver with regard to fatalities. But no one has the data to get there, and I'll revisit that again later. Some human drivers drive drunk. That's right. But on average, human drivers are still pretty good and adaptable, and I'll be showing some numbers later. And so it's really actually quite difficult to beat a human driver for safety, especially if you take the drunk and impaired ones out of the pool. Human drivers, while imperfect, are remarkably good at dealing with what the heck is that and weird, odd situations that they've never been trained on, but they muddle through. They find a way. Computers are terrible at that. Machine learning can fail in novel situations. The idea for machine learning is you train the computer with a bunch of examples, and what it sees in the real world, it says, okay, that's close to this set of examples, now I know what to do. So when it encounters something it's never been trained on, it's kind of at a loss, and it doesn't have common sense, so it often does something just completely inappropriate that a human driver would never think to do. And we saw a couple pictures of things that are, some human drivers make those mistakes, but some things a human driver probably wouldn't unless they're impaired or otherwise a bad driver, but the point was these robotaxis won't be like that. Computer drivers in particular can be imperfect. For many years, what the robotaxi industry would say was, well, we'll never hit something like a bus because our LiDAR will see it, and because the LiDAR sees it, we won't hit it. And that was graphically illustrated to be a false statement when a robotaxi actually hit a bus in San Francisco. Now, in this case, there was a logic error, and the short version is it was following the front half of an articulated bus, and it decided to ignore the back half of the bus, and so it hit it. That kind of logic is not something you would expect of a human, but that's exactly what you might think of a computer failure, and sure enough, it happened. So we can't say that just because they have good sensors, they will never make a mistake. We can't say just because it has a whole bunch of cameras and LiDARs and radars and sensors that it won't miss a bus right in front of it, because we just saw it happen. The reality is you cannot assume these vehicles will be safe. They have to be engineered to be safe, and that engineering is a lot of work, a lot of time. We hope the industry gets it right, but you can't simply say, well, computers don't make mistakes, therefore they'll be safe. We're seeing that play out on public streets. It's simply not true. You have to also have the engineering to go with it.